So a little bit about me. I do have the credentials, so to speak, Bachelor of Fine Arts and Visual Arts. I attended several programs at Tuck for executive education on how to scale businesses, how to launch businesses. But I really can say I cut my teeth at Priceline. So I had gone through kind of the corporate mill prior to Priceline, where they encourage ideation and innovation, but you find out quickly that in some big companies they really don't encourage it, or it should come from the certain people. So entrepreneurs sometimes don't do well in corporate environments. And so a lot of people were leaving and going to go work here in Stanford to this place called Walker Digital, and they had this idea called Priceline. So I ended up going there in 1998, which seems like many moons ago, right, 20 years ago. But that was exciting to me because I was a consultant. But it was also one of those moments where I made a decision that could have gone a different way. So at the time, I was posed with an offer of employment, and I wanted to make like $75K or something. I was about 27 at the time. I got offered $30K, and then like $50K in stock options. And I had mortgage and all this, and I couldn't do it. Yes, at some point those options could have been $3 million, but I turned it down, and I worked as an hourly employee because I had no idea what Priceline was going to do. It was a brand new idea. I was on it on the ground, and I was senior art director, so I worked on the branding, a lot of the early e-commerce stuff, and some of the newspaper advertising. But once that took off, and I saw people that were around me become millionaires, I realized the power of taking an idea and how an idea can turn into a company with the right team. And I had an opportunity at that point to go work for Priceline. I had a cubicle waiting for me in Norwalk, or I could stay at Walker Digital and try to do this again. So my boss, Jay Walker, had about 400 other patents. Priceline was just one of them. And the idea was like, oh, well, we did it with Priceline, we're going to do this again. And so that was more compelling to me. So I stayed there. Of course, my motivation was I want to get on the next bus. I missed this one. I want to get on the next one. So I really, really worked hard to try to get that next big idea going. And so for a long time, it was like the running joke was like, this is it. No, this is it. No, this is going to be it. And it'd be like 2 in the morning. And on a Friday, and you go back that Saturday morning to keep working. And Jay was right along with us. He was one of the hardest working guys that I've ever had the pleasure to work with. And I learned a tremendous amount. So that's part of my story, because while I was there, I also launched my own invention, because I was around inventors. And so my buddy and I invented Tasty Golf Tees. And Tasty Golf Tees is basically what it sounds like. You chew on the tees before you stick it in the ground, and it has flavor. And so the idea was we were up on the tee box and we're chewing on tees, and my buddy John, he was also an inventor at Walker Digital, and we said, hey, this thing is terrible. The paint's coming off of it. What if we made one that was like sterile and flavored and safe to put in your mouth? So listen, we launched this thing. My kids thought we were going to be rich and sail off into the sunset. We learned so much about it, though. We tried different types of wood. We sourced wood from China because we couldn't find raw teas here in the States. Every tea we found here had some type of coating. So we bought 1 million teas. We bootstrapped this thing. We put everything on credit cards, and we thought we were going to make it big. And Jay just kind of laughed, because what I didn't understand was that it was a very small niche, and just because I loved to play golf didn't mean I understood the golf market. Okay, and that's something that I want everybody to really pay attention to, because I did all the branding. I came up with this cool slogan: add some flavor to your game. It was going to be big, and we went to the PGA show in Vegas. We had a booth. We had shirts. We were giving out free samples. We met Butch Harmon, Tiger Woods golf coach. We were in the mix. We were in the golf biz, right? But the problem was it was costing us like $2 to make a bag of teas, and we were trying to sell it for $4. And we had no margin. And then there was 4 partners. So one guy was like a patent guy. I was the marketing guy. We had another guy that was the inventor and kind of worked on that. Needless to say, this is probably one of the only remaining Tasty Golf Tees. So it was a real product. But Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they might taste like now, but that was a cherry flavor. But one of the mistakes I made with Tasty Golf Teas was we went to the Vegas show, and then we had a chance to go to the show in Orlando, which was the merchandise show. But there were two shows going on right back to back, and we couldn't afford to go to both. And this is where my lack of knowledge of the market and the consumer and all this other stuff came into play. Because one was a merchandise show for the PGA. The other one was an ASI show. So anybody that's in promotions or does promotion knows that's where like all the squeeze balls are and the frisbees and the tchotchkes and all this. And so one guy on my team was like, no, we got to go to the ASI show. And I was like, no, this is a golf product. I want to be, with all the golf gear and gadgets and Golf Channel and all this. And so we went to the wrong show. It turned out that most of the people buying our golf tees were buying them for promotional giveaways at charity golf tournaments. It wasn't like your average day-to-day golfer that was going to buy flavored golf tees, for $20 a bag, when he could get unflavored ones for $5. Right? So lesson learned. But that happened while I was at Walker. I continued to stay at Walker until 2008. We went through hundreds and hundreds of startup companies at Walker, none of which ever really had the magnitude of a Priceline. But I learned a tremendous deal working with Jay. One of the best things I learned from him was, I know that's what I asked for, but that's not what I want. So as a creative director, it posed a big challenge for me, but it made me always think ahead of where we were supposed to go with this. While I was there, my biggest accomplishment, so to speak, was launching guaranteed play poker across like 9 different casino properties in Vegas. And that was a big failure, a big flop, because what happened was it was supposed to be a new way to play. It was supposed to revolutionize gambling and poker, and people were very superstitious. And so shortly after that, I got laid off with a bunch of other people at Walker. This was 2008. The market, went down. This idea of investing kind of switched gears, and he went into innovating. Basically went into going after people that were infringing on patents, and he went into another way to monetize, and it wasn't innovation. So I had to do some soul searching, and I know we've all been there when we have like a big failure or life doesn't go our way, because I honestly thought I was going to get a windfall. I saw people hit it big with Priceline, so I thought, well, this is going to happen eventually at Walker if I stick around. It just never did. And so I basically had to say, well, this could either be the worst point in my life or it could be the best. And I just said my prayers and started Peralta Design.